Hey guys, it's Anthony Bandiero here bringing the Roadside Chat. This question comes from an officer in Iowa, and it's actually, the question is Miranda required during a domestic violence investigation? So the officer says, look, I often have discussions with my fellow officers about, the need for Miranda during a domestic violence investigation. Now, even though they are detained, right, the husband and the wife are not going to go anywhere if they try to leave, right? They may not be told that they can't go anywhere, but if they certainly try it, they're not. And also, they may not feel free to leave since the cops may be in their house, right? So the officer says, look, I'm trying to explain to them the difference between a detention and arrest-like custody. All right, so in order to understand when Miranda, you'd have to understand why Miranda. Miranda was instituted really to try to level the playing field, right? The U.S. Supreme believed, at least in the 1960s, that when a person is in custody, right, especially at the station house, that there is a natural coerciveness to the whole situation. I can understand that, right? You're the police, they're on your turf, you're asking them incriminating questions, and they wanted to level the playing field and just make sure that, hey, before you talk to the police, before you give up your right to remain silent, just know that you do have the right to remain silent. And if you can't afford an attorney, don't worry about that. Don't let that be an inhibitor, like a barrier. We'll get you one, right? Now, that's why Miranda. But Miranda level of coercion, that in custody level of coercion does not exist during traffic stops, DUI investigations, in most domestic violence investigations. So when you arrive on scene for a domestic, are you pointing guns at them? If you are, well, that's a factor that you need to consider. Are you putting them in handcuffs? If you are, that's a factor to consider. In other words, are they at that level of confinement that really looks like an arrest? Because once you have that, you have the coerciveness that the Miranda is trying to even out, right? And equalize. But if you don't have that, then you probably don't have Miranda-like custody. And the U.S. Supreme Court has made this clear, like that, for example, Miranda is not required during traffic stops and DUI investigations. Is that person free to leave? Let them try and see what happens, right? They're not free to leave. But are you reading the Miranda? The answer is no, because they are not in arrest-like custody. Same thing with the people inside the house. Now, let me give you some examples, right? Here's a case, it's from California, but it's based on the Fifth Amendment. Also, I'm reading from the Search and Seizure Survival Guide. If you don't have this book, you need to get it, right? I'll put a link to this book below. But Miranda not necessarily required after detaining a suspect with handcuffs. Why? Because it's the totality of the circumstances. The court said handcuffing a suspect during investigative detention does not automatically make it custodial interrogation for purposes of Miranda. It's a factor. And the one thing that you should be doing here, though, is telling the person, hey, just to make clear, you are not under arrest, you're just being detained. And you also need a good reason for handcuffs. If you don't have a good reason, fight or flight. If you don't have a good reason for handcuffs, then the court most likely will say it's a de facto arrest, which means arrest in fact, which requires probable cause and Miranda, right? Another case, so that case is People versus Davidson, 2013 out of California. Temporarily placing a suspect in a patrol car is not an arrest. Are they free to leave? No, right? Handcuffing and putting an uncooperative suspect in the back seat of a patrol car while the officer checked the vehicle for weapons held not to be an arrest, right? So, therefore, it would not be a Miranda issue. The point is that, look, I don't have any case, I haven't done the research for Iowa, but these cases are based on the Fifth Amendment. So the key, though, I think, is to treat these people like witnesses, right? You're trying to just find out what's going on. I mean, why would they feel like they're under arrest when you're just like, hey, what's going on with you two? Like, why are you guys, arguing and so forth? And that is not arrest-like custody. A reasonable person would not believe at this time the level of confinement is that equal to an arrest. But then when you start being more intrusive, like putting handcuffs on them, kind of accusing them of spousal abuse, looking for confessions, look, we know you hit her. Why? Now, do you need Miranda? Absolutely, right? So it's stuff like that, and think about it. All right. So that's really all I can tell you, just as a general high level view. I know that this topic comes up a lot, but just think about it. If you understand why Miranda, you understand when Miranda. Okay? All right. So I hope this helped. Before you leave, hit the like button, right? Tells me that I'm doing a good job over here. Subscribe to the channel. Share with your friends. If you have a question for me, go to bluetogold.com. Until next time, my friends, you stay safe.